Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we did not expect to do another Birds of Prey video.
No.
But it is the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right.
Anyway, we're going to talk about Birds of Prey, and the director is coming out and saying she was not happy that it was called a flop. Right,
but she's also not happy about a lot of things, and it goes exactly the way you think it would.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to talk about that, about how Birds of Prey underperformed, about how they're probably going to go back now and use the opportunity, unfortunately, with the virus to rewrite Hollywood history. And they're going to convince everybody that, you know, that was the reason I think that Birds of Prey flopped. Oh, that and all the misogynists.
That's right. It's,
you know, all
it's
the
because everybody, you know, because she's a woman director too, and that's why. Even though most people didn't even know who the director was, let alone that it was a woman. Most people didn't even care.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's always because, you know, we're mean to women.
We never had female directors directing comic book movies before, except for Patty Jenkins and a couple others, you know. And everybody hated those movies, too. No, they didn't. They actually did really well. So we're going to talk about that. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're over 100,000 subs, guys. Thanks for the support. This is coming from Cinema Blend. Birds of Prey's director was not happy the movie was called a flop so early. Mm-hmm. Because when it makes literally half as much at the box office compared to what the projections were, that is really, really unfair to say.
No, because it actually made a couple times its money back. So they got down to the decimal. So that's not a flop.
Exactly.
But they're not telling you how much it costs for all the marketing and everything else too.
If this had been a male-led movie, I'm just gonna
go ahead, go for it.
If this movie had been a male-led movie and it had woefully underperformed, there would have been a lot of people lined up to call it a bomb.
We'll flip it. If it had been the Joker, and the Joker had done this, they would be all tap dancing all over it saying it was a flop. See, we told you. See, we told you. It's a flop. It's a flop.
It's a flop, and oh my god, see, guess what? The incels didn't come out and support their movie. There's not very many of them. Joker was garbage.
If it had made only 2.4 times what it made instead of the $1 billion it made, they'd be all over it. Because most of this crap that was drummed up, that they're blaming on men mostly, the issue was mostly caused by the media.
Yes,
and bad marketing.
Bad marketing, yeah. The marketing was almost non-existent for this movie. I think they already knew it wasn't gonna perform, and Warner Media has been cutting back on a lot of things lately.
And they changed the name.
They changed the name.
Like after Weekend?
One weekend. They changed the name like the following Monday. Like, let's call it Harley Quinn like we should have the first time around.
None of that is why, guys. It's because it was a female director and because, you know, men.
Yeah, so there are some other things that we actually do agree with down here. They talk about the rating, but here we go. So Birds of Prey opened below expectations. In its first weekend, the comic book flick starring Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn was already being called a flop. How dare they? How dare they? In comparison to the rest of the DCEU slate, it does sit at the bottom.
That's the DK.
What?
Compared to the DCEU, all right? And we know how well some of those movies in the DCEU did.
Bleh.
It's at the bottom, but that's not a flop.
So the DCEU isn't exactly knocking it out of the park anyway. So however, that's without looking at the bigger picture, everybody. Birds of Prey made 2.4 times its budget back, and while it didn't pull in the monumental numbers of Joker or Avengers Endgame, flop or failure are too strong a words.
I just can't get past this. Wait. These other movies bombed. A lot of them did. Not all of them, but a lot of them did. And it sits at the bottom of those movies. It literally sits at the bottom of movies that didn't perform well. I mean, it's like a poop layer cake, and it's at the bottom of the poop layers. I mean, the closer you go up, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and stuff, that's more like, you know, they come out of the poop and get more to better.
It gets less
It gets
poopy.
You know, yeah, and you're not eating poop. Then it's like nice. But the very bottom is the layer of poop.
Is it nutty?
I don't know if it's nutty. Oh,
which one's that? Was that the first Suicide Squad? Was that nutty?
I don't know, but I'm just saying that's their argument. It might have been the poopiest of the DCEU movies, but it's still not a failure.
Yeah. So this is what's kind of irritating. So they said plus the director behind it, Cathy had only made one small budget indie film, so they're making excuses for its failure.
Wait, they're making excuses saying she wasn't good enough because she only did one small budget indie film?
Pretty much, yeah. Birds of Prey is also, this I will give them, Birds of Prey is R-rated, which limits the audience. Another movie like Wonder Woman
100% agree.
Yeah, especially Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn, they keep marketing Harley Quinn to little girls and preteens, and our daughter loves Harley Quinn. I would have taken her to go see the movie if it was PG-13. but she's 12.
Yeah,
you know,
so
not taking her to an R-rated
But
movie.
I mean, honestly, I think the marketing, the rating, and the media had more to do with it flopping than anything.
So here's where the excuses come. So a lot of factors to consider here, and Yan is offering her take on the initial headlines.
Okay.
I know that the studio had a really high expectation for the movie, as we all did. There were also undue expectations on a female-led movie.
You know, that didn't happen with what? Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, you know, any other
Star
movies.
Wars, the sequel trilogy?
Star Wars, you know, Aliens. You know, should we go down the list of all the female-led movies that, you know, had expectations?
So they're basically, she's like, I should have been given a handicap because it was a female-led movie.
Undue expectations on female. Basically, people aren't going to go because it's a female-led movie, which is not true.
So what I was most disappointed in was this idea that perhaps it proved that we weren't ready for this yet. No!
That's not the takeaway here.
And it's not even because it was an R-rated movie with a female lead. Again, we had Aliens years ago. R-rated movie, female lead, did very, very well at the box office. That was an extra burden that I, as a woman of color director...
So she's already pulling out... It's not just I'm a woman director, I'm a woman of color director. She's already pulling out, here's my check boxes, so you know I'm shielded by these check boxes. I already have all this, I'm already underprivileged, and my privilege points are in the negative ahead of time, so it was all stacked against me.
Oh my God.
It was all stacked against me before I even started.
So yes, I think there were certain different ways you could interpret the success or lack of success of the movie, and everyone has a right to do that. But I definitely feel everyone was pretty quick to jump on a certain angle.
And what angle was that?
Was a flop?
Was that the angle, or is she talking about because it's women?
No, I think it's the vibe I'm getting from this, and I could be completely mistaken, is this movie should get a pass because it's directed by a woman.
Privilege point pass.
And I am a woman of color, and I only did one indie movie, and people aren't ready for female-led movies yet.
Maybe you should hire women. There's a lot of women out there who've done a lot of movies. Why don't you hire one of those women? You know, if you're going to use that as an excuse, well, then hire somebody who had more experience. There are a lot of women out there who have it. You know, this is ridiculous. I honestly thought it took, like, you know, everybody's going to, you know, pretty quick to jump on a certain angle. I'm taking it too, because they're already doing it with the female, and that the female-led movie and all that stuff is the angle that, because it was a female-led movie by a female director, people didn't go. And that's not why people didn't go. Most people didn't even know that she was a woman or a person of color woman. People didn't even know that.
What they need to do, instead of putting the stars on the posters, they need to put a big picture of the director and the writer.
And all the people that are behind the scenes, so you know it's the right people who did that movie. So it doesn't matter if it's a shit show or not. You have to go.
You have to go, because look at all of these people working on this movie, and if you don't go, you're gonna hurt their feelings, and you're gonna be a terrible racist, misogynist, homophobe.
Because you didn't go to the movie because even if it looks like garbage, it doesn't matter. Even if you can't go because of the rating, even if you can't go because the marketing's terrible, it doesn't matter. Because these are the people behind it, and you have to support them because they said so, because they have the right checkboxes.
They have the right.
And beyond that, the media jumped in there with making it a contest between it and Sonic. Yeah. Remember? So people were backing Sonic because the media made it a contest that didn't even exist. The media were spinning it. It was because it was female-led. Oh, they're still blaming the COVID-19 for this failure. It wasn't even going to air in China.
Yeah, it was an R-rated movie. They weren't going to bring it out in China. The only way that they got Deadpool in China was to do a PG-13 cut.
Right, so this is never going to China. So that it had the thing that, you know, we're allowed to mention briefly never had any impact on this. Other than maybe a couple countries it was going to go to that weren't China might have had a little bit, you know, might have had some theaters shut.
Oh, Geeky, you jumped the gun here. So Birds of Prey was made on a production budget of $82 million. Joker was about 60, or yeah, it was 60 million. So it's 20 million less, which is lower than your typical DCEU title.
So was Joker.
So was Joker. But while 201 million isn't necessarily a very impressive box office number, it shouldn't classify Birds of Prey as bottom of the barrel.
Because Cathy Yan said so.
Because Cathy Yan said so. Because it's unfair to call a movie like Birds of Prey unmarketable or something an audience isn't ready for based on the numbers.
Let me get this. Okay, guys, let's rehash how math works, how the economy works. If you have something that you're trying to sell and people don't buy it, that means it's unmarketable. I'm sorry, but that's what that means. It's unfair to say my movie wasn't as good as the other ones, even though by numbers it isn't.
No, well, a lot of
I can't believe this. Go ahead.
We see this in comic books all the time, and it's happening in Hollywood. And I think this attitude came from Hollywood. A lot of these creators want a bell curve. They want a bell curve. They want to be, you know, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, it didn't make enough money, but I should get an extra $200 million. You should just tack another $200 million onto the haul because I am the right kind of director, the right kind of person.
I was thinking of Sunshine and the Privilege Point.
Oh my God!
Did you ever get a chance?
People
go look that up.
I forget what channel did that, but yeah, Sunshine.
Sunshine and the Privilege Points and with math and stuff. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. But that's what this reminds me of. That's what this whole thing and the way their argument reminds me of. She
had a couple extra cards she could play, but the truth of it is, and this especially now with you know, the virus tearing through Hollywood and upending Hollywood, you know, these movies are going to have to make money. Now, I think in a different time, this movie they might have even just kind of dumped it onto HBO Max. You know, but it could have made money. I mean, that's the thing. People looked at it and they're like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to see it. And the Birds of Prey were nothing like their comic book iterations.
Oh, it gets better. Hold on. I just read the next paragraph.
Oh, boy.
Cathy Yan's film is still a sizable win for a female filmmaker of color who had never been the center of a high-profile comic project before. Basically, they handed it to her because she was using the I'm a female filmmaker of color. That's why they handed it to her.
They just backhand slap Patty Jenkins. So that's why they keep putting the of color, because they can't use female filmmaker because there have been lots of female filmmakers. So instead they attack
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, so when Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman broke the box office record, she was more established, she was white, and she did Monster. So she had much more...
You know what? Most people didn't know it was a woman who directed Wonder Woman either.
I didn't. I didn't even know until, like, we went to go see Wonder Woman. I didn't have high hopes for it, not because a woman directed Wonder Woman, but because I didn't like the other DCEU movies. I'm like, it's probably gonna be another garbage movie, but we'll go see it. And it wasn't until like a week or two later, everybody started making a big deal about Patty Jenkins, the female director. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Because you know what?
Literally, that's all I thought.
Unless it's in like Star Wars or something, people don't know who the directors are.
No.
They don't usually care who the directors are. Most people don't pay attention to that. So they didn't go see it and had the general public, including women who make up like half the box office, or people argue more than half, they didn't go see the damn thing either. So you can't use this whole gender studies thing. That's a load of crap. But then they said, Gal Gadot, I'm sorry, it's Gal Gadot, had been introduced from Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and it was a bigger setup for her than Suicide Squad was for Harley Quinn. Bullshit!
Harley Quinn's one of the most popular comic book characters out there.
So their excuse was, Patty Jenkins was more established. People knew her because she had one movie under her belt prior, one big movie, as opposed to her, she had none. Well, here's a takeaway maybe. Maybe that they shouldn't hire people who don't have experience. There's a takeaway. I think that's going to backfire in your face because your argument is, well, I didn't have the experience, so I shouldn't be held to the same standard. Well, then they shouldn't hire people who don't have experience if they can't handle being held to the same standard.
So here's the thing too. They keep trying to quantify it with, you know, it was a sizable win for female filmmaker of color. They had a director of color on Black Panther, and it made $1 billion. Ryan Coogler. So
yeah, but that wasn't a woman. It only because she has two.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, it doesn't count because she's a woman, because she's leading everything with that. You can't criticize me in my film because I'm a woman of color.
She's got two cards.
And I'm a new director. Well, then they shouldn't be hiring, which I keep saying this, and we keep seeing this. We see it with that She-Hulk woman too. If you don't have the experience, you shouldn't be doing it.
Because at this point, what's going on, and this is biting Hollywood in the ass big time, is that people are jumping line because they've got the
right cards.
They've got the right cards. They're jumping line. They didn't work their way up the food chain. Now, just to go back, we talked about in another video with America Chavez. Now, they did this in comics for quite a while, which helped destroy the comic book industry. But the original, or the other America Chavez comic they had was actually done by somebody who didn't have any experience in comics really at all. Just happened to be the right check boxes. It was a disaster. It got canceled. Now they're bringing America Chavez back, but they're getting a veteran female writer, a veteran writer.
Yeah, because they do exist. Imagine that.
They do exist. And she's also Baby Got Back. They're making sure that you know, she
has a more curvy figure.
More curves. So that book will probably sell better than the other America Chavez books.
Because even women, I mean, as a woman, I'm getting tired of being told that we're like with She-Ra and everything else, we're going to flat chest them all up to make them look like boys. And I'm supposed to be told as a woman that I'm supposed to accept that. Because some women are flat chested. Yes, some women are. But the majority of women aren't. The average cup size in the U.S. is a C cup. That's not the majority.
So what if you're gay and you really like boobies? So as a woman, you don't get to see any boobies because they're taking the boobies away.
Well, you know, because the people that are doing it, they don't think that that they might personally not like boobies.
Okay.
I mean, they might like boobies, but they just like them flat. So, you know, or they feel mostly what it is I have flat. The people that are doing this feel like insecure about their body, so they're trying to make the superheroes look more like them. I think. But, you know, beyond that, though, here's what we learned. The movie didn't do well for a number of reasons. Mostly because of marketing, mostly because of the rating, and mostly because it was confusing with the title.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the reasons why it most likely didn't do well. And it didn't do well with women or men. I'm going to point that out. And they said actually in theater goers, there were more men than women who went to see it. That's why it didn't do well. It had nothing to do with who the director was. It had nothing to do with the director being a woman of color. It had nothing to do with, you know, men not supporting female-led movies or female directors of color. It had nothing to even do with the fact that it was her first movie she did. They're actually setting her up for that one on their own. No. It was because of those things. And now they're already trying to retroactively make it that you cannot call it a flop. That you cannot judge it the same way you judge every other movie because she's special case because she's special.
She's a special case because she's...
That's what she just said!
Special, yeah, I know. So, meanwhile, next time we see Harley Quinn is going to be in the James Gunn-directed Suicide Squad sequel, and apparently she's going to rock her classic look. So it sounds to me like Warner Brothers is sort of walking that back a little bit. Like, you know, people want sexy Harley, but then there's going to be all kinds of, well, it's a man.
They had her more clothed, actually. The picture they saw, she looked like she had more clothes to me, and I actually kind of liked the look they had for her. And it was more like the red and black, you know, the typical Harley
which
look.
I'm totally down. He flat says it's going to be the Paul Dini-esque design, which I'm down with. I would love to see live-action Harley Quinn in the Harley Quinn outfit, but
that's still our daughter's favorite version, by the way.
Yeah, that's the Harley Quinn. But then you know, I keep thinking it's going to remind me of Christmas Story with the elves. You know, with the elf girl on the You'll Shoot Your Eye kid. You know, because I'm like, how is that going to work? We saw her like 2 seconds in Suicide Squad in that outfit, but that's a Harley Quinn I want to see. I want to see classic Harley Quinn. This just looks like a girl's having a really bad day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That looks like most of us women coming out of the quarantine.
Yeah, that's quarantine Harley. So anyway, she's pushing because she wants a sequel.
Well, that's what this whole thing's about. She wants a sequel now. So you can't judge me and hold me accountable like everybody else because it was my first movie. Now I want a sequel. If they give her a sequel, they're smoking something. Especially after all her little wine fest breakdown where she's blaming everybody but herself.
So I'd love to see Poison Ivy, and I would love to see the relationship between Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
So she's trying to leverage that to get a sequel.
Yep, the filmmaker told the trade, explaining that their romance would be a big part of the follow-up. This is where, okay.
You can rant now. I've been ranting. My head hurts.
Going back to Batman the Animated Series, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy were kind of partners in crime. They had a fling, not that kind, where they just went out.
Girls' night.
Girls' night out, and they caused, they raised a little hell.
This is, again, that whole idea that you cannot have friends that are the same gender as you, because if you do in movies or if you're an actor or in comics or whatever, that automatically makes you together. Yeah,
and Harley Quinn, now, in the comics, they've kind of, like, tarted her up. Like, she's just, like, she'll sleep with anybody. Like, that's just kind of, like, isn't that kind of, like, taken away... I don't know. I just like, they're all like, oh my god, she's in an abusive relationship with the Joker, but let's have her go out and just like sleep with everybody or pine after everybody, But yeah, so she's, having a thing with Poison Ivy in the comics. I don't really read the Harley Quinn comics too much, so I can't really comment on that, but I just thought it was weird that we had to immediately take characters that had a platonic relationship in a cartoon show and ship them in the comic books.
Right.
But, I mean, this happens all the time anyway. But it just kind of, shows me, again, that, like, a lot of the comics now are basically just, fanfics that people are getting paid to write.
Pretty much.
It's
a big deal around this Poison Ivy Harley Quinn thing. It's been for years. Now this person, the director is trying to bank on that to get herself a sequel.
Oh, yeah. It'll be like, oh, you can't cancel the Harley Quinn sequel because there was going to be... a gay relationship
then you're canceling. It's going to be about canceling relationships and canceling, genders and canceling races and canceling this and that and misogyny and canceling women and all the crap that never was part of the problem or issue or any of that.
And that was another card. She had another card up her sleeve she was going to play. So
then when it fails, it's because that was only my second movie and I'm just a woman of color and you just are mean. You're just so mean. You racist, misogynist, homophobic trolls.
So speaking of mean, Forbes actually called out that Birds of Prey was a flop too, and they're calling out that the Rise of Skywalker, which was directed by a guy, was also a huge flop and a disappointment at the box office. So I think these publications are starting to come around to be like, at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers, right? It's all about the numbers, and we're moving into a different time in Hollywood where, you know, people are going to have to bring the boom if they want to justify their existence.
Well, I think they're also learning that you just can't bully people into liking things.
No.
Like it used to be a few years ago when it was a new idea that you would just start calling people names and they cave because like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm this bad person, because most people aren't. The majority of people are not. Are there people out there that are? Yes. But they're a very small percentage of the general public. The general public don't want to be told that they're bad things. They don't want to. They're like, oh, I'm not a bad person. I have no problem with people being this or that or anything else. I just didn't like this movie. So they automatically cave. People are not caving to this anymore. They're not falling for this crap anymore. They're like, no, it was still a shitty movie. I'm sorry. People just are done with being told what they have to like.
Yeah, and we're going to see a shakeout. We're going to see a massive shakeout, I think, in Hollywood, where we're going to have to go back to, because these studios aren't going to have monopoly money to play with anymore because of everything going on with the theater shutting down and production shutting down, and these, you know, we're seeing Disney bleed out.
Blogs are going to shut down.
Blogs are going to shut down.
Who?
Yeah, because the ad revenue is not going to be there. We were actually told, the one blog that we work on, you know, thankfully it's not, you know, our main income, but we actually had our advertising network reach out and say, hey, the revenue for the next month or two because of quarantine, it's probably going to drop down to like 70% of what you usually get, because, you know, people aren't advertising, they're saving their money. A lot of the places that would have advertised, since it was focused on theme parks, would have been travel destinations. These travel companies are hemorrhaging money.
Well, a lot of places that are shut down aren't going to advertise right now because they're going to have to save all their money to try to stay open. And
do you think people are going to pay to read your shitty rag and your shitty opinions? No, they're not. And we're seeing more and more blogs now to survive, to justify their existence. They're like, you know, gotta pay, get behind that paywall.
Well, yeah, not just that, but I see they're starting to branch out into other things. They're starting to try to go into other areas and genres, or not just stick into like pop culture or sports or one thing. They're trying to step outside of that to try to reach more people.
Yeah.
But this whole idea of it being a basic platform for your opinion over the truth or over the news, I don't think it's going to be around much longer.
Nope. So you're going to have to go back to Medium, I guess, and publish your articles for free. Because that's basically...
everything's switching to a meritocracy, and I think it's going to be based on what actually performs.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Everything after the virus, the shutdowns, after that, we're gonna go back to being a meritocracy. You look at what happened when Hollywood was disrupted during, you know, World War II, and it was kind of survival of the fittest, and that's what's going to happen. So if you cry that your film's a bomb and it was unfair and people are mean, the bean counters at the struggling studios aren't going to give a shit. They're going to be like, didn't make money, so no, we're not doing the sequel. Sorry.
No, she'll probably get it anyway.
No, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you watch her get it anyway.
They'll put it on HBO Max.
So she's already pulling the, because you better give me my sequel, or you're just clearly a misogynist. You're clearly a sexist. You're clearly, you know, racist or something like that. And she'll probably get it.
The only way I could see them doing it is, you know, if the next Suicide Squad does really, really well, then they'll be like, okay, we'll give Harley Quinn another spin-off movie. But it might not be her. It might be that we'll do another Harley Quinn movie because people like this character, but you're not directing it. We're going to have somebody else direct it. Maybe we'll pair her up with the Joker and give people a Harley Quinn and Joker movie, which probably would make a lot more money. Well,
but I also think, we're wrapping it up, I think the takeaway for her should be that stop blaming the audiences, because the real failure of this film comes down to how it was marketed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the failure of the film is. I mean, that you had the age being rated R. The marketing was abysmal.
Yeah,
the name really got changed 2 weeks into finally being something that has something to do with Harley Quinn. I mean, that was more about Harley Quinn than the fabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, you know?
Yeah.
There were so many things that are wrong with it, but it's not the audience. I wouldn't even say it's the director necessarily. People said that, a lot of people said it wasn't bad. It's because of the way the studio handled it. But don't go around telling everybody it's because you're, you know, I'm a woman of color and that's why. No. But I will say, for Hollywood going forward, you need to find people with experience. This whole, I'm the right person because I fit the right check boxes. You can find people that are the right people, that fit the right check boxes, that have experience. Go find those people.
Yeah. Do it. Do it.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys, and we'll talk later.
Bye.
Hey, guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.